we're going to try that again. Cops and queers is the topic. That's been a big topic of discussion today in the groups. Is the mainly the action of the Detroit Police Department in escorting the Nazis through in their march with the Pride Parade. They call it kettling. It wasn't an escort. It was more like close surveillance, and they did an excellent job. Hey, Cloud Zach, welcome. They did an excellent job. There were no fights. Everybody got to scream at each other, which is their right. There were no fights. Nobody got hurt. They busted one guy on a gun charge. Did a really good job. They also busted the guy who. They also busted the guy who committed the triple homicide because the people were queer. Well, the cops have actually been doing a pretty good job for queers during Pride. There's been an uptick, at least in the notice of crime against LGBT people during Pride Month by the press, because a lot of people think it's just because of the Pride Month but the police response has been good everywhere. The New Orleans police nabbed some guy that had on a bicycle that had an AR-15 slung over his shoulder, way too close to the parade route. They didn't want him there. They got rid of him. What else? The New York Police Department apologized for their for what they did 50 years ago at Stonewall. Now there's resentment runs real high in the trans community against the police because of discrimination and oppression and violence that they've endured at the hands of police. I've been fortunate. My contacts with the police prior, they didn't know. When I was getting popped for civil disobedience, they didn't know. And since I've been out, hi Green Bastard, welcome. How are you? Since I've been out, my contacts with the police have strictly been positive, except for a certain thing going on with the internet complaints. My contact with the police just in my daily doings has been just wonderful. They watch out for me, and some of them like to chat me up when I'm out on the street playing. And one of them even bought some stuff from me when I was hurting real bad after one of my horns got stolen. It's getting there here. We're, it's up to 100 degrees. Where are you at? That's fun. May was pretty cool. I don't know who you are, Fish Man, but you're about to disappear. Yeah, it's probably hot and steamy where you're at. At least it's hot and dry here. We're buckling up. It's that time of year here. It just finally we just broke 100 just now, this last day or two, to where it's going to stay over 100 now. And we're not going to get any break until the middle of September. So anyway, that's like the big, like Sophie LaBelle and her crowd have been going off on it. Let's see what's in my feed right now about it. I got one of my posts about it got taken down from International Transgender Health because some reactionary militant trans rights activists got triggered by it. Let's see where nobody's saying anything on any of them in my notifications. Let's see if there's anything sitting. Venezuelans are marked with numbers to stand in line at government supermarkets from the Business Insider. I like their stuff. I get a lot of their stuff shared to me. I share a lot of it, share it back. Here's from one of the support groups. I've lost 2 trans friends to suicide recently, and a third left a suicide note via Facebook post today and is missing. Oh my God. And this is just post. Oh boy. Oh, I just posted that. Oh boy, we have a caller. Yes. You're getting hung up on. My name is not Mr. Tudor. It's Ms. Tudor. I'm hanging up on you. You've already blown it. I hear your voice, dude. I'm just hanging up. So that's it. And I know this is you. So fuck you. I'm not, fuck you. You don't know how to play the game in my rules. You're not going to play in my pool. Sorry. Seriously, sorry. You're welcome, pal. Let's see who's here. Fishman, I don't know who the fuck you are, but you're not welcome here. Bye. Say again. It's still incomprehensible. Do you have something you want to say? I can hear you now. What do you have to say? I didn't understand that. Say again. What are you talking about? You need Pepto-Bismol. Why? Okay. Thank you. Have a nice night. Bye. Anyway, that's the topic for tonight is queers and cops. And I'm just going to kick back and blow a little on my flute. Better for me than smoking. You know, if somebody's got something to say, go ahead, say it. Or call in. Queers and cops. I'm just going to make noise. Yeah, so goodbye. Seriously, you know, we have a topic. Stars in the Dope Show. Do I know that song? No, I've never heard that one. And I got to be real careful about the songs I play in the background, or I get hit for copyright. Yes. Look, dude, don't call. Just stop calling. I have no interest. Goodbye. Ah, really? Cool. Yes. I'm just not gonna answer. You want if you want to call me, let me know. You know, if you want to call from a restricted line, unless you announce in the chat that you're calling from a restricted line, I'm not going to accept any calls from restricted numbers tonight. I'm going to check that out. Seriously, don't bother calling from a restricted number unless you announce in the chat that you want to talk to me. Otherwise, I'm not answering. That's the way it's going to play. No shit. I'm not answering any restricted numbers unless you announce in the chat that you want to talk to me. Oh shit. I should. Can I plug these into the computer? Is that the same size fucking plug? Yeah. Fuck yeah. I can listen to this on earphones. So I don't get in trouble with YouTube. The what? Doesn't seem to. There we go. Rear input jack supports a microphone line invite. Oh, this wants the microphone. I need to put it in on the speaker side. Now what's the name of this tune? Cops and Queer. Oh, we're all stars in the Dope Show now. I guess this is one of their top tunes, huh? This is like, you got to sit through the ad. Fuck you. Okay, thank you. What year is this from? I'm watching the video too. Kind of bizarre. That's pretty wild. Seriously, don't even try to call from a restricted number unless you announce that you want to talk to me in the chat. I'm not answering the phone unless you do that. Or you can call from a number that I can track. And like I said, I'm just gonna turn it down and ignore it. So I don't hear it. Restricted number, I'm not answering. Fuck you. I know you're assholes. Chicken shit motherfuckers. You're just calling to annoy me. Fuck that. I'm gonna make noise. If anybody's got anything interesting to say, I'll respond. If anybody's being an asshole, I'm gonna delete them. Easy. Really? Oh, I'm glad. That's I really have no reason to be alive in this world except to educate and entertain people. I really have nothing to do here. That I just like, what the fuck am I doing here? Other than like telling the historic truth as I see it and as accurately as I can, and amusing people. Keeps myself amused. Thank you. Thank you. It's what's my smile in my eyes. It was what's protected me in the world. Fuck. I'm serious. I'm not taking. Let's turn this fucking. Listen, where's the ringer? Where's the ringer? There we go. Turn that ringer down so I don't have to hear it. Yeah. Like, what are any of us doing here? Such an awful, industrial fascism, the industrial culture versus the indigenous culture. And, here I was growing up in Chicago, and it was only nature that I had for company. My family totally rejected me, and I either was like not wanting to be around people, or people weren't wanting to be around me for various reasons. But just don't even bother calling if you're the Unabomber's Manifesto. No, I haven't read that. No, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. I was educated by a great rabbi, Reform rabbi, who was an omnist, and taught us to embrace otherness, with love and acceptance, and not recoil in fear and loathing. I grew up in a melting pot, and ah ah um, see, as far as fighting the industrialist culture, I come from a bougie kind of, I was a son. I had to play son of boss when I was young. Um, we're a military industrial family, um, mostly in heavy construction and ladies' underwear. That's my family. My grandfather was the one that was into the foundation garment industry. And my father kept us in tradition. Um, but most of the rest of the family were like electrical engineers, architects, and shit like that. Um, um, anyway, so to me, I consider myself as not, I'm considered a boomer. Um, but the baby boom really, the actual, bump in the population size ended when the Korean War ended in 1954. And those of us who were born between then and about 1964, about the time the Vietnam War got escalated, I consider us like this happy days generation that we were born into peacetime. We were little kids in peacetime. There was so much enlightenment going on in the late 50s, early 60s. Not just technological achievement, but just raising of consciousness too. Um, it was a heady time. There was so much fun, and you could fill a gas tank for 17 cents a gallon. Run up to Wisconsin for fun, on $2 a gas. That was a wonderful time, and we watched it all go in a garbage can. Uh, my family, um, my family, in my father's family comes from Romania, and his mother's family were kind of gentry, and they bailed out. The pogroms in the 1880s. They just bailed out, came here, set up shop here. My great grandpa was a dentist and dairy farmer. And his his paternal grandfather was orphaned in a pogrom, and his background isn't clear. My mother's family came here, are the ones that first settled in Chicago. My father's family settled in New York when they first came here. And it was until my grandfather ran off with my grandmother and both families rejected them, that they settled in Chicago. But most of the family settled in New York, except my mother's side of the family came straight to Chicago from Poland. Eastern Europe there, that's in Poland or Russia, and it just depends on who's in charge right at the moment, what they call it. And the architects, my uncle, my maternal grandfather's brother-in-law was a prominent architect by the name of Max Lowenberg. His son's still running the firm. It was Lowenberg Associates, I think, or something. And then my grandfather was an electrical contractor, and my maternal grandfather. We owned a company called Cable Corset Company. Grandpa bought the year I was born. He bought it in 1954. And my father was the vice president and sales manager. And they mainly made bras and girdles for like the box stores. The box store label, the store label bras and girdles was mainly what they manufactured. And then in the late 50s, we were friends with the people who was the guy who financed Hugh Hefner. They lived down the street from us. We'll get to that in a minute. Because I think I have Jewish privilege. I've never had. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. I just wanted to like run out to family. You know, we're not like, you know, entertainment industry moguls or anything like that. It's just like simple, you know, middle class, or what used to be the middle class. Working folk, military industrial, you know, non-combatant types. You got to separate Jews from Zionists. You know, that all of these awful things that you want to blame all Jews for, it's really not Jewish. You know, it's something that, you know, these people are not in any way obeying the commands that were made to the Israelites as part of this chosen deal. You know, we were chosen to be as righteous as we possibly could, or else we were going to get fucked over. Now, why? I can't say why the universe, you know, because I'm just a human. I don't know why the universe has allowed the Zionist project to go on the way that it has. I have no idea. I can't say. All I can say is that, you know, those of us who have the heart of the Hebrew in us and understand what's expected of us, you know, and you know what the Creator wants of us in terms of in return for all these blessings that we're promised. You know, we can't just take it. You got we're supposed to give certain things back. Next. Yeah. If you want to talk to me from a blocked number, you're going to need to announce it in the chat and tell me what you want to talk about. My people were never in combat. We're farmers and religious folk. It's only in the 20th century, and that you know, this major construction. My Uncle Max and his brother were self-taught, and Max actually fought, and he didn't fight. He was the battalion commander of the Army Corps Engineers unit under Patton. And family legend, I have no bloody history. You know, we were victims. We ran away from pogroms. My great grandfather was a you know, as far as the gentry, then, you know, we're farmers. We were not warriors at all. We're Kohanim. We're the priests. There's no blood on my hands. Going back, you know, the last, according to family tradition, the last one of my ancestors that killed anybody was Moses. You know, that was the deal that I made with Spirit when I was young, was that I needed, you know, if I wanted to be healed properly, that I needed to devote my life to educating and entertaining people without killing anybody. And I managed to get here without killing anybody. And I've never even hurt anybody worse than I needed to get away from them, which wasn't very bad, ever. I've never hurt anybody real badly. Man, and you know, so here we are. No, I don't have a bloody history, you know. You know, as far as what the Israelites did the first time that they took over Palestine, you know, it's hard to take any of that literally, especially when there's no archaeological evidence to support it. You know, as far as we know, that's all just fairy tales made up. But there are things that are true and enduring about the, you know, moral code that's laid out. You know, we need to love everybody and everything, with every fiber of our being and every waking moment of our lives. Well, that's the thing, is that people that are true to Shema are not that way. Those are, those are people that um, exploit the Hebrew faith to fulfill their own greedy agenda. Here, let me give you a video to watch of a rabbi who can tell you what it's all about. There's a big difference between Judaism and Zionism. And all of those repugnant behaviors that are undeniable, that are connected to Jews, are connected to Jewish Zionists. The same thing with fundamental Christians, is that those guys are Zionists. The ones that are Christians are fucking the world up are all Zionists too. And same thing with you know, the radical Islam. That's just Wahhabism that's been perverted even more than Wahhabism was already perverted. Mainstream Christians, Jews, and Muslims are totally like appalled at the behavior of all of them. And here's one of the spokespeople for the True Torah Jews. Watch this. Listen to this. Oh boy, I got somebody who likes my boobs. Send me $20, I'll show them. I got compliment on my legs today too from somebody. I was in a thank you, Diet Queen. Thank you for understanding. And I can't explain it anywhere near as well as Rabbi Shapiro can. And the Jews themselves, they were always behind the scenes. The Zionists behind the Jews. They were involved in the African slave trade a lot, both as ship owners and traders, slave owners in America. There were Jewish people in the South that owned slaves. And if you want to look at the Rothschild, I talk about the Rothschild Morgan cartel, the New World Order crowd. Their footprint is very distinct on history. You can trace some guys back into medieval times. The Morgans, the Rothschilds, the Medicis, the DuPonts. There's just a couple hundred families that have been doing this forever. Buckminster Fuller talked about the great pirates, who are the ones that are really in control of the governments, the ones that are the people who were controlling the sea lanes and the overland trade routes. And he called them great pirates. And he traces them back down to the time of Constantine. I know authors that will trace it all back to Nimrod, Cyrus, and Hiram, same families. Generation after generation, century after century, same shit over and over and over again. The only thing that's really changed in all recorded history is the sophistication of the population management methodology and the efficacy of the implements of mass murder. Everything else is pretty much the same. Same people, just demon spawn generation after generation. It's just going on forever, and we buy into it. We just accept it. I think Stephen Molyneux did something about. I dig that thing out. He cracks me up anyway. He did something about how we enable our own enslavement. There's several authors talk about how we're happy slaves. That we're willingly going off fighting wars against strangers for no reason other than to like take over their shit, or the corporations that are running our shit. It's been going on like that. Every single American foreign war has been like that. The great wars of the 20th century were banker wars that were crafted to break up the old empires and replace them with these fake democracies, or just straight out dictators. They were all beholden to the central bank. Seriously, don't even bother trying calling if you're, if you haven't told me you want to talk to me in the chatter, don't even bother trying to call, because I'm not going to answer. None of you. None of you. Nobody's, unless you tell me in the chatter that you want to talk to me, I'm not talking. And until somebody asks me another question, I'll just make a noise. Any comments, questions, curses, threats? If you want to talk to me, please just let me know here. I'm not answering any block numbers. It's just too annoying. It's mostly the same guy over and over again until one of the kiwi farmers decides to jump up. There's only one person that calls me from a block number that I even want to talk to, and he'll let me know in the chatter if he's here. Well, that would be cool. If you could, on Hangouts, there's a little bit of a lag, but we can almost do it on Hangouts. Hey, Donald, happy day. Welcome. There's a tiny little bit of a, well, it's pretty bad lag. it's about 5 seconds. Yeah, it doesn't work real well. We've tried a couple of times, but I've managed. Yeah, I haven't been streaming much. Yeah, well, Diet Queen. About that, I just call it all Zionist, because the Jewish subversion, this whole idea of Jewish subversion, this has always been people who are not following, who are not being Jewish, They were Jews in name only. And Zionism, you can get into the, Khazarian conversion in the 8th century is an important focal point, as they found that the Ashkenazi Jews who are making all these claims about Palestine are actually descended from only 4 Indo-European mothers. And I have to stress that my rabbi, Dr. Ginstock, taught us that Jew itself, the term Jew, has always been pejorative. That properly were the nation of Israel, the children of Israel, and were practitioners of the Hebrew faith, which is the religion that was taught to Abraham, the monotheistic way that was taught to Abraham by Melchizedek. And then the law was handed to Moses by his contact with the being with the unutterable name, who we were, as kids, growing up at the beginning of the space age. We saw that flying chariot stuff as being just, space travelers, and that something happened and they quarantined the planet. And that's what the Genesis stories. Yes, I have been to Israel. I'll get to that. I have specific questions. It was in 1977. So we just saw these people as highly advanced. This was an advanced civilization. It was coming and going from here. It still does. We just haven't seen it in a couple thousand years. They'll be back shortly, hopefully. Unless I'm totally deluding myself, and have been all my life. And so all that was the civilizations, according to a number of creeds, the Mayan and the Druids talk about civilization rising and falling numerous times. You look at some of the architecture of in High Asian architecture, like in Tibet and Nepal and stuff. It's like, ooh, that stuff. That was an earthling that created that. Is somebody on our level of development put that together? No, I don't think so. When we went, my family, in 1977, my brother had just gotten married. So the whole family with my sister-in-law went on a 5-star 2-week tour, guided tour. We had a Mitzrahi Jew who was our guide, who had a whole lot to say about discrimination by the Ashkenaz against them, and by the government, how the Soviet Jews that were immigrating were getting preferential treatment to the native Palestinian Jews, who for housing and employment and shit, access to social services and everything. And it wasn't anywhere near as bad as it is now. And especially on a 5-star tour, they were like making sure we stayed and didn't see the really shitty stuff. We had an escort in Hebron, and to get into the cave of the patriarch. And I was bothered by the militancy of Jews and militant. This was my rabbis. He was the founder of one of the founders. It was Elmer Berger. It was his brain. He was the founder of American Council on Judaism, which was chartered in 1942 to protest the CCAR's endorsement of the Jewish Army in Palestine. The chauvinistic militant nationalism is not an acceptable Jewish value. You know, the Orthodox have a lot of arguments on halakhic grounds. I just wrote a little something on that tonight at Facebook. Let me give you the link to that. Or just go look on my page at Facebook. I'll give you the link to my page. See if I don't know if anybody's reacted to it. I can give you the link to the notification. Nope, nobody's reacted to it. Oh yeah, somebody did here. Yeah, I just did a little thing on what's wrong with it, and with a link to the Shapiro video. But the Israelis were not very friendly at all. They're all chain smokers, real uptight, all paranoid, uptight. And the Palestinian merchants, like in Jerusalem and stuff, you know, they were really a lot of fun and nice people, and just real eager to please and eager to close the deal with you. I don't know what else can I say about it. The wall wasn't there. I cried the first time I saw a picture of Jerusalem skyline with the wall. You know, the people weren't being, you know, there's checkpoints, all this mass queues going through there and then abusing them on the way through. It's just awful. And then they're trying to portray themselves as the victims. It's like, come on, who are you kidding? There's, you know, you guys have one of the most powerful armies in the world, and you're opposing an indigenous, mostly agrarian people, armed with sticks and stones and gasoline-filled bottles and small arms, and you're calling yourselves the fucking victims. It's sick. And then the world's buying it. That's even worse. It's like, you know, it's the big lie. It just gets told over and over and over again, and people believe it. But I really wanted to stick to the big lie about the LGBT people. You know, the Vatican Congregation of Catholic Education come out with a 31-page document totally like marginalizing everything that wasn't cisgender and heterosexual. Oh, I need to finish this. Where's the suicide hotlines? Somebody, it wasn't a suicidal post. He was talking about somebody who made a suicidal post. Oh, jolly. We're going to open up Fort Benning as a shelter, a migrant shelter. West Virginia teen missing. Probably been taken as a sex slave. Transgender. No, I see you. You know, there was a transgender inmate, transgender person of color, Afro-Latina, who is a known performing artist, was found dead in Rikers Island in her cell, and she had been housed on a section that was specifically for trans and non-binary people. None of the accounts have said specifically what the cause of death was, which leaves a lot of room for speculation. The family is demanding transparency. You know, the community's like freaking out, and you know, rightfully so. I mean, there's, you know, most of the world that I meet, most of the people I meet, especially in the streets, have no interest in the debate over sexual preferences and gender identity. They accept that people are what they are and judge people on the basis of their individual actions, not on some label. That's the way most people are thinking these days. The only people that are really heavily invested in the argument are religious fanatics and the people who have to counter all the hate bills and shit that they're getting put into the legislatures. And the people who see themselves as victims. Everybody else wants nothing to do with it. They wish everybody shut up already. No, nobody's supporting any new discriminatory law, and the majority of people are strongly in favor of queer equality. You know, uh, they're trying to scuttle the Equality Act when most of America is like cheering it on. You may want to scuttle it as you know, they just want to erase queer people is what it comes down to. Um, the U.S. Jews, to get back to Israel, I guess. I don't fuck Israel. I don't even like calling it Israel. You know, it's a Zionist state to me. Israel is a person, not a place. Um, and the topic tonight is queers and cops, and that's where we're at. We're on queers and cops. So 27 countries in the world with the most freedom. I don't even want to look at that. Trans Mountain Pipeline. Oh, John McAfee is running for president. He's also running for the U.S. authorities. And this is like the guy, the cybersecurity company guy. He's he's running a U.S. presidential campaign from his boat, 73. He's on a boat fleeing U.S. authorities. Explained in the video posted to Twitter, he has not paid taxes in some time. I have not paid taxes for 8 years. I've not filed returns. Every time I tell the IRS I'm not filing a return, I have no intention of doing so. Come and find me. So he continued, today, January 22nd, the IRS has convened a grand jury in the state of Tennessee to charge myself, my wife, 4 of my campaign workers with unspecified IRS crimes. They want to silence me. I will not allow that. So he's on his boat. Okay. This is a great clown car demolition derby 2020. This is even more fun than 2016's clown car demolition derby. I guess they've calmed down about queers and cops in my feed. This is all other bullshit. Uh-oh. Yeah, this is why I'm glad to have helped understand. Because like the people that do the awful things are not being Jewish. That's the most important thing. These people are not what Jews are about. We're, you know, the whole chosen thing is we're expected to be an example, set an example, not dominate people. We're supposed to set an example for people to live by our righteous acts. We're supposed to be builders, healers, and teachers, entertainers. You know, they've taken the gifts that were given to our people in terms of psychological and ability and cognitive ability and mechanical aptitude. They've taken these gifts and insulted the creator by doing all the things that the creator didn't want them to do. This is what Dr. Vinstock was teaching us, was that the Hebrew faith is not, Judaism, Jews and Judaism have always been kind of pejorative, that the Hebrew faith is not what these people are doing. I don't know what else to say about that. Because they're not Jews, they're Zionists. The Israelite, the Hebrew Israelite is about peace and love and eternal gratitude and sharing and caring, the whole rainbow trip, the whole Native American trip. That's the ancient Hebrews. That's the ancient Hebrew way. I don't know what else to say. Probably should just say L'chaim. Yeah, it's a brand new flute. I'm kind of just breaking it in. I don't know how you would define a nice schlong, and I'm no judge of that. I was never really fond of mine, or anybody else's. Put it on my head. A boob shot, side boob. Get some side boob there. Oops, that's almost nipple. Yeah. I don't know. I'm okay. We've been at this an hour. Um, I'm about done. I'm about cooked. Any final questions? Any comments, questions, curses, threats? Thanks for joining me. Thanks for keeping things like level in here. And that's nobody got weird. Well, one guy got weird. He got gone. Anyway, nobody's saying anything more. So happy day. Thanks for coming. Bye.